I still remember the weight of that engagement ring on my finger as I drove to Le Bernardin that Friday night. 3 years with Audra, and I thought I knew everything about her. She'd texted me earlier, "Babe, got the VP promotion. Dinner tonight at 7 with the team. Wear something nice." I'd been so proud I called my mama right away. She'd warned me about Audra when we first started dating, said something about her eyes being too calculating, but I'd brushed it off. The restaurant smelled like old money and fresh roses. I spotted Audra immediately, her natural hair swept into an elegant updo, wearing that burgundy dress I'd bought her for Christmas. She was laughing with 3 women I'd never met, their champagne glasses catching the candlelight. When she saw me, something flickered across her face. Not joy. Something else. "Stephen." She stood, kissing my cheek like we were colleagues. "Everyone, this is Stephen. Stephen, these are my new colleagues from the executive floor, Jennifer, Amanda, and Stephanie." I shook hands, noticing how Audra's grip on my arm was performative. Tight. Controlling. "So you're the famous Stephen," Jennifer said, her smile sharp. "Audra's told us absolutely nothing about you." Everyone laughed, including Audra.
Hilarious.
That should have been my first real warning, but I sat down anyway, ignoring the knot forming in my stomach. The waiter brought menus with no prices listed, that kind of place. Audra ordered for the table without asking me. Oysters, which she knew I hated. I said nothing, just smiled and pushed them around my plate. The conversation flowed around me like I was furniture. They talked about corporate restructuring, office politics, people I'd never heard of. Every time I tried to contribute, Audra would touch my hand and redirect. "Stephen works in social services," she said when Amanda asked. The way she said it, like she was apologizing for me. "He's very passionate about helping people." "That's admirable," Stephanie said, but her eyes had already glazed over. "Not very lucrative though, I'd imagine." "It's honest work," I replied, my voice steady despite the heat creeping up my neck. I made $42,000 a year helping formerly incarcerated people find housing. Audra made 6 figures before this promotion. We'd talked about it, how money didn't matter, how we were a team. "Honest work," Jennifer repeated, raising her glass. "That's certainly one way to put it." They laughed again. Audra laughed loudest. I excused myself to the bathroom, standing over the marble sink, staring at my reflection. The fluorescent lights made my brown skin look grey. My suit, the nicest one I owned from Men's Warehouse, suddenly felt cheap. I splashed cold water on my face, remembering when Audra used to call me her king. That was before the promotion interviews started. Before she began networking every weekend. When I returned, they'd ordered a $200 bottle of wine. Audra was mid-story, her hands animated, her voice carrying that executive polish she'd been practicing. And I told them, absolutely not. I'm done with that phase of my life. Time to focus on what really matters. My career, my future, people on my level. Good for you, Amanda said. I wasted my 20s on the wrong type too. My footsteps slowed. I stood just behind Audra's chair, invisible. Exactly, Audra continued. You live, you learn. Some people are good for teaching you what you don't want. Stephen has been. She paused, searching for words. Educational. Sweet, really. But I'm ready for someone who matches my ambition now. The world tilted. The restaurant's ambient noise became white static. I watched her take a sip of wine, watched her friends nod knowingly, watched the woman I'd planned to marry erase 3 years in 3 sentences. Is he here tonight? Stephanie asked, looking around. Oh God, yes, Audra laughed. I felt bad not inviting him to my celebration. He's been so supportive, you know? Watching him try to fit in with you all is kind of endearing actually. Like bringing a puppy to a board meeting. They erupted in laughter. My hands went to the ring. The engagement ring I'd saved 8 months to buy. $1,400 on a payment plan. I'd picked it up the day before proposing on the Brooklyn Bridge at sunset. I pulled the ring off. The gold band caught the light one last time before I slipped it into my pocket. My heart hammered so hard I thought they'd hear it, but they were still laughing, still dissecting my inadequacy like I wasn't standing 3 feet away. I didn't sit back down. I walked straight past their table, past the confused waiter, past the host stand, out into the November cold. My phone started buzzing before I reached my car, Audra's photo flashing on the screen. I turned it off. The drive back to our apartment in Crown Heights took 30 minutes. Our apartment. Where my name wasn't on the lease because Audra said it was easier for taxes. Where my clothes took up one corner of the closet. Where I'd cooked dinner every night for 3 years while she climbed her corporate ladder. I packed methodically. My clothes, my books, my grandmother's quilt, the framed photo of my parents. Everything I owned fit in 4 boxes and 2 suitcases. Pathetic, really, how little space I'd taken up in her life. The engagement ring sat on the kitchen counter where she'd find it. No note. What was there to say? She'd already said everything that mattered to her colleagues. I called my boy Albert from the road. Stephen? It's almost midnight, man. I need your couch, I said. Just for tonight. I'll explain everything tomorrow. Albert didn't ask questions when I showed up at his Harlem apartment at 1 a.m. with my life in boxes. He just helped me carry everything up 3 flights of stairs, handed me a pillow and blanket, then sat with me while I stared at the ceiling. You want to talk about it? He finally asked. She called me a phase, I said. To her new executive friends. Said I was educational and she needed someone on her level. That's cold. I was right there, Dee standing behind her chair. She didn't even know. My phone had 73 missed calls by morning. Texts flooded in. Where are you? This isn't funny. We need to talk. You're being childish. Call me now. I blocked her number. My mama called at dawn. Audra's been blowing up my phone, baby. Says you disappeared. What happened? I told her everything. When I finished, there was a long silence. I'm proud of you, she said quietly, for knowing your worth. Come home for Sunday dinner. Bring your appetite and your dignity. The next few days blurred together. I took sick leave from work, first time in 3 years. Albert let me sleep on his couch, brought me food, didn't push. On day 4, Audra showed up at his building. I watched from the window as she buzzed and buzzed, then finally left. Audra wasn't used to losing. The calls shifted to emails, then showed up at my job. My supervisor, Mrs. Chen, called me into her office looking concerned. Stephen, there's a woman here claiming to be your fiancée. She's quite insistent. I found Audra in the lobby, mascara streaked, wearing yoga pants, something the old Audra would never be caught dead in publicly. She looked smaller somehow. Desperate. 5 minutes, she said. Please. Just 5 minutes. I heard everything I needed to hear at Le Bernardin, I replied, my voice flat. That wasn't, I was just trying to impress them. You know how corporate culture is. I didn't mean any of it. You laughed when Jennifer called my work one way to put it. You compared me to a puppy at a board meeting. Which part didn't you mean, Audra? Her face crumpled. I was drunk. They were testing me, seeing if I'd fit in with the executive culture. I panicked. For 3 years, you panicked. She blinked. What? Because that's how long you've been pulling away. The late nights, the separate social events, introducing me as your friend to your colleagues. I thought I was being supportive. Turns out I was being convenient. Security approached. Mrs. Chen had called them. Audra's eyes went wild. Don't do this. I love you. You love who I used to be for you, I said, turning away. I'm done being that person. Albert came home the following Tuesday with a strange expression. He tossed his phone on the counter where I was making spaghetti, the first meal I'd cooked since leaving. You need to see this, he said. Audra's Instagram had always been carefully curated. Motivational quotes, gym selfies, professional headshots. But someone had sent Albert screenshots from a private Facebook group called Executive Women Rising. Audra had posted there 3 weeks before the promotion dinner. Finally got the VP offer. Time to upgrade everything: apartment, car, and yes, even relationship. LOL. Current boyfriend is sweet but definitely not C-suite material. Any advice on letting someone down easy when they've been there for you but aren't going with you? Don't want to seem heartless but also need to be strategic about my image now. The comments were worse. 40 women congratulating her glow up, sharing their own stories of trading up, suggesting she phase him out gradually or keep him around until you find his replacement. Audra had liked every single comment. There's more, Albert said quietly, scrolling. From 6 months ago. A photo. Audra at a corporate retreat in Miami, leaning against a tall brother in an expensive suit, his arm around her waist. The caption: networking has its perks. #executive life #leveling up. His name was Russell. VP of Acquisitions. Divorced. 42 years old. Exactly the kind of man Audra had apparently been looking for. I created a fake Facebook profile, something I never thought I'd do, and requested to join the group. They accepted me within an hour, probably assuming Stephen Johnson was common enough to be someone's corporate husband. I screenshot everything. Every post Audra made about outgrowing her relationship. Every comment about my job being noble but not ambitious. Every piece of advice she'd solicited about keeping me placated, until she was ready to move on. Then I sent it all to her. No message. Just the screenshots. She called immediately. I answered on speaker so Albert could hear. You're hacking my accounts now? This is psychotic. It's a public group, Audra. Well, semi-public. Your friends were very welcoming. Those were private vents. Every woman complains about their relationship sometimes. For 6 months. With detailed strategies on how to replace me. That's not venting. That's premeditation. She was crying now. Russell meant nothing. That photo was just networking. I don't care about Russell, I interrupted. I care that you looked at me every day, said you loved me, let me plan a future, while actively shopping for my replacement. You didn't respect me enough to just be honest. Because I knew you'd react like this. Like what? With self-respect. The line went quiet except for her breathing. I gave you 3 years, Audra. I supported every late night, every weekend networking event, every time you needed space to focus on your career. I celebrated every win like it was my own. And you called me a phase. My boy Travis called that Friday. We'd grown up together in Jamaica, Queens, stayed tight through everything. He worked in HR for a financial firm downtown. Yo, Stephen. You sitting down? Should I be? I did some digging on your girl Audra. Well, ex-girl. You said she works at Hartman and Associates, right? Yeah. Why? Because I got a homegirl there. She says Audra's promotion is already shaky. Apparently, she inflated her performance metrics in the interview process. Like, significantly. They're doing an internal review now. I sat up. What kind of inflation? Claimed she single-handedly brought in 3 major clients last quarter. Truth is, she was support on one deal and took credit for her team's work on the other 2. Her old supervisor is pissed, filed a formal complaint last week. Suddenly Audra's desperation made sense. She wasn't just losing me. She was potentially losing everything she'd sacrificed our relationship for. There's something else, Travis continued. That dude Russell? The one from her photos? He's married. Very married. His wife sits on the company's board of directors. I laughed. Couldn't help it. The irony was beautiful. Russell's been under investigation too, for inappropriate relationships with subordinates. If Audra's involved with him, she's about to get caught in that net. Karma works fast, I said. Sometimes. Listen, man, I know you're hurting. But you dodged a bullet. This woman is toxic. Sunday dinner at my mama's house in St. Albans was exactly what I needed. The smell of her cooking, jerk chicken, rice and peas, macaroni and cheese, made me feel 7 years old again. Safe. My older sister, Suzanne, was already there with her husband, Kenneth. They'd been married 12 years, still held hands at the dinner table. "So this is the woman you wanted to marry?" Suzanne asked after I'd explained everything. "I thought she was different," I said. "In the beginning, she was. Or maybe I was just seeing what I wanted to see." "You saw what she showed you," my mama said, setting down a platter. "People like Audra, they're chameleons. They become whatever they need to be to get what they want." Kenneth nodded. "I've worked with people like that in corporate. They view relationships as transactions. You were useful when she needed support. Now she needs a trophy." "The thing is," I said slowly, "I would have supported her dreams. If she'd just been honest, said she wanted to end things, I would have been hurt, but I would have understood. It's the deception that kills me. The planning. The mockery." "That's because she's a coward," Suzanne said flatly. "Brave enough to climb a corporate ladder but too weak to have a real conversation." My phone buzzed. Another email from Audra. Subject line, "Please read, important." I deleted it without opening. "Good," my mama said, watching. "That's real strength, baby. Knowing when to walk away. If you believe people should be treated with basic respect, you understand why I had to leave. Only manipulators and users would side with Audra on this." 2 weeks later, Albert came home with news. Audra had been demoted. The internal investigation Travis mentioned had concluded. She'd falsified client acquisition reports, taken credit for team projects, and her involvement with Russell had violated company policy about fraternizing with married executives. "She's back to senior manager," Albert said. "Same level she was before." Russell got fired. His wife filed for divorce and apparently threatened to pull her family's investment from the company if he stayed. I should have felt satisfaction. Instead, I just felt tired. Audra showed up at my mama's house that evening. I was helping my mama plant her spring garden when I saw the black Audi, her promotion gift to herself, pull up to the curb. She looked different. Thinner. Her hair pulled back carelessly. No makeup. "I'll call the police," my mama said, standing. "No, ma. Let me handle it." I met Audra at the gate, keeping it closed between us. "I lost everything," she said without preamble. "The promotion, my reputation, Russell, my apartment, I can't afford it anymore. My colleagues won't speak to me. Even my parents are disappointed. And you want sympathy from me. I want you to understand that I'm sorry. Truly sorry. I made terrible choices. I got caught up in ambition and lost sight of what mattered. I mattered, Audra. For 3 years, I mattered. Until I didn't fit your new image." Her face crumpled. "I know. And I hate myself for it. I threw away the best thing in my life for a fantasy." "You threw away a real person for an image," I corrected. "There's a difference. You didn't lose some abstract best thing. You lost me. Stephen. The person who loved you when you were stressed about presentations, who rubbed your feet after 14-hour days, who believed in you before you believed in yourself." Audra was sobbing now, gripping the fence. "I know. God, I know. Is there any way, any chance, we could try again? I'll do therapy, I'll prove I've changed." "No." The word hung between us. Final. "Audra, you didn't make a mistake. You made a series of calculated decisions over months. You strategized my replacement in Facebook groups. You mocked me to strangers while I sat in the same room. That's not a lapse in judgment. That's who you are. People can change. They can. But I don't owe you the chance to prove it. You had 3 years of chances. You had every opportunity to be honest, to communicate, to treat me with basic respect. You chose otherwise." She wiped her eyes. "So that's it. After everything we had." "We didn't have anything, Audra. I had love. You had convenience. Those aren't the same thing." I turned to walk away, then stopped. I hope you find what you're looking for. I really do. But I also hope you learn that people aren't stepping stones. We're not phases or placeholders. We're human beings who deserve honesty and respect. Stephen. Goodbye, Audra. I walked back to my mama's garden and didn't look back. Months later, I stood in my new apartment in Fort Greene, Brooklyn. 1 bedroom, hardwood floors, a kitchen window that caught the morning sun. My name was on the lease. My furniture filled the space. My life, fully mine. I'd gotten a promotion at work, program director, $15,000 raise. Mrs. Chen told me my dedication never went unnoticed. She'd been waiting for me to believe in myself enough to apply. Suzanne helped me hang artwork, pieces from local artists in Bed-Stuy. Albert brought a housewarming plant. My mama made enough food to feed the entire building. You look happy, she said, squeezing my shoulder. Really happy. Not that fake happy you used to wear around Audra. She was right. I felt lighter. Present. Like I'd been holding my breath for 3 years and finally remembered how to exhale. My phone buzzed, a text from Nicole, a woman I'd met at a community event last month. Still on for dinner tomorrow? I'm thinking that Ethiopian place in Park Slope. I smiled, typing back, perfect. Looking forward to it. This was different. Nicole asked about my work, actually listened to the answers. She introduced me to her friends with pride. She paid for dates as often as I did, insisted we were equals. Maybe it would work out. Maybe it wouldn't. But I was choosing myself this time. Choosing someone who saw me as a partner, not a project. Someone who understood that love isn't about levels or leagues, it's about mutual respect, honesty, and showing up for each other. I looked around my apartment, at the life I'd built from scratch, and felt something I hadn't felt in years: peace. Hit subscribe if you believe everyone deserves honesty and respect in relationships. Only manipulators like Audra won't subscribe. Comment I stand for loyalty if you think real love means treating your partner like an equal, not a phase. If you can't stand people who use others as stepping stones, comment everyone deserves better than Audra. Let me know in the comments what you would have done in my situation. I read every single one.